The rent is indeed too damn high, and apparently getting higher at a faster rate than should be acceptable virtually anywhere. And it turns out it really does matter where, although overall, US average monthly rent has gone up on average 14.1% from a year earlier. You can see on this chart the change over time. It is getting worse fast. But again, it does matter. 14% overall is bad, but average rents rose to nearly $1,900 a month. In certain cities like Austin, New York, and Miami, they've gone up 40%.
Jeez.
Rents will apparently also continue to rise by at least 10% this year, according to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. And we're gonna discuss this. As we do, I wanna leave up this chart of some of the worst offenders for year over year increases. I mean, and look at the average, Nassau County, New York, $3,700 on average. It's gone up 35%. It was already expensive. Now it's even more so. Francesca, people are literally being driven out of entire cities thanks to this.
No, I thought it was thanks to the Democratic governor's vaccine mandates and the high taxes. That's why people are going to Austin, like Joe Rogan. Good buddy, keep Austin weird and drive up the rent, bro, because it looks like that's what you and a lot of your followers have been doing. So I don't know. I'm just happy there's not a lot of California. California was always already insane in terms of rents. But look, this is what happens when the market runs everything, right? When the market calls the shots on housing and we don't see housing as a right, but a privilege, what's going to happen? You're gonna have a 14% overall rise in rents as we've seen during a pandemic, during when folks are still struggling, when people are still trying to make ends meet, when any support has been cut off, when eviction moratoriums have ended. Yeah. And unless we do something about this, and this is the thing that I say with government programs, I think it's all fine and good to help people, to put money in people's pockets, but it doesn't matter if we're still bleeding out thanks to big real estate. If big real estate keeps on squelching us, if we can't get rent control on a local, on a statewide level, hell, even on a federal level, then what is the point? We're throwing good money after bad, and yet we just leave real estate untouched.
Yeah, it's one of the areas that has been obviously screaming out for a long time for regulations. I mean, there was obviously the mortgage crisis and its link to the economic collapse and all that, but there's just, and it's almost like climate change in that the approach that we need to deal with it has to touch on so many different aspects of governance at various levels. But basically nothing has been done aside from there was the brief eviction and foreclosure moratorium, understandably so, and it falls off as the rates start to rise at their fastest rate. That's absolutely insane. Now, overall, to give you an idea of one of the elements of this, I want to give you these stats from the Washington Post. Homes were in short supply even before the pandemic, particularly for low and middle income families. In 2020, the market added just 65,000 entry-level homes. They rate that as those less than 1,400 square feet, compared with roughly 400,000 a year in the late 1970s. And so you have less new homes entering the market. As a partial consequence of that, the average mortgage of these even entry-level homes is going up, which means home ownership is cut off, which drives more people into the rental market. And there's a finite supply of those as well, which drives those prices up. It's pricing out more and more people, not just from like hoity-toity neighborhoods or whatever, but from entire metropolitan areas. And if you want to take a look in that Washington Post piece, they do interview people from a variety of different jobs that are being forced to move, and not next door necessarily, some relocating around the country because of this. And I don't hear virtually anything being said nationally by the Democrats, and obviously nothing's gonna be said by the Republicans about this.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not like big cities like New York, I mean, under Bloomberg specifically, I mean, it was gloves off. It was just like build, condos. And yes, some of them were mixed income. Some of them, were lottery systems if you were lucky. But a lot of them were just like, rich entrepreneurs' third homes that they would rent out or Airbnb, right? And that happens all the time in city after city. So of course, like I hate the idea that people think that we're not building enough. Oh, they're building. It's what are you doing with the units that are being built? Who are they being built for? Are they for foreign investors? Yes. Or are they for families?
Exactly. Yeah. And by the way, I saw something going viral. It was like an NFT person who was like, the price of owning a home is too expensive. Don't bother it. That's why you got to jump on getting like NFT homes and furnishings for your digital property.
No.
I don't necessarily know the answer any more than Joe Rogan does, but I'm pretty sure that it's not that. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.